Okay guys, what's going on? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the meta custom tactics if you're looking to make a push towards the rank 1 or the elite division in Rivals. Just in case anyone is new here, this would be the meta tactics layout for just pure meta. This is if you're purely going for wins. We have a defensive formation, one to close out the game. We've got an ultra attacking formation if you're losing. And then we've got two formations, I would say balanced. One's a bit more attacking than the other one, depending on how the game goes. So the idea is if you're losing, you go up incrementally through the formations. If you're losing, you go down. So let's start with it. So I removed my 5-2-1-2. That will be for another video. But what we've done over here is we've gone for a defensive phase. Now, do bear in mind that people are playing a bit more defensive because the patch has come out. And because of obviously the jockey issue, people are really struggling with trying to defend. So naturally, they're playing a more defensive line. So this is a formation. I just keep it very, very narrow, okay? Very, very narrow. And what we do is we put everyone on comeback and defense. This is just a formation if, for example, you are winning 1 or 2-0. It's the last couple of minutes of the game. And what we do have is we do have drop between defenders. Normally, I would sub this player off for someone like a Tal. And the idea is that when we're attacking, we'll have a back 5. This is basically my anti-counter-attack formation. So when we're attacking with a back 5, so that way we hold the lead. And then what we do is, I showed instructions. So everyone on comeback and defense, left mid and right mid. We have the strike on stay forward, false 9. So when we do get outside our opponent's box, we want our striker to drop deep to create more players in the midfield to be able to easily distribute the ball and counter the press. We then have stay back while attacking, comeback and defense for both the left back and right back, or stay back while attacking, cover center. And then for the cam, we have stay back, cover center. Don't forget he's more of a center mid and he's on drop between defenders. So what we do is when we're in the game, he'll be like this, and when we're attacking, he'll be the guy dropping in between the defenders. So what I do normally is I just sub someone like, let's say, a Talon, and they normally fill in that void. So that is the formation I use when I am in the game and I'm winning. And what you can do is you can change your chance creation. Now, again, I have to be very careful about how I word this because a lot of people are getting, as I probably can see, visually and vocally very upset. It depends on your skill level. If you know how to use L1 triggers, then use possession. If you don't, then use balance. Please don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. A lot of people are. I'm just saying it as a literal fact. So don't take it like I'm trying to indirectly insult you, but it depends on your skill level. But that is the formation I would use for the most defensive option. This is the balanced formation that I would use for most of the game. And as I said, again, it would depend on your skill level. If you want to be a bit more aggressive with this formation, but you know you're not that good at applying pressure yourself, think of pressure on heavy touch as balanced, but the game will just basically apply pressure when there's a good chance to win the ball. That's the best way I can describe it. Whenever there's a loose ball or there's a ball at play, the AI will push together, kind of like a bit of like a half constant pressure that will press together, and they'll try to get the ball. Whereas if you, for example, are much better at defending, again, if you know you're at that skill level where you know how to defend and you haven't got an issue with running out with your centre backs, then you can use press after possession loss. The reason why I don't advise this is that whenever you lose the ball, your team press every single time. And of course, if your skill level is not that high, you may get caught in behind more times than not. So it'll actually be counterproductive for yourself. So as I said, it depends very much on your skill level. So if you know how to defend with your defenders, and you know you can sit here and say, hey Neil, look, I run out my centre backs, I've got an issue with defending, then I would say leave this on balance. But if you want to be a tad bit more aggressive, you can use pressure on every touch. The width and depth, we kept it the same. And we kept the offensive style for build up, forward runs, and the width of 57. So nothing has changed from that from last patch. The changes we have made is we put both our strikers on stay forward. Now, after this patch, because people are playing a bit more defensive, you will find you kind of want two strikers for most of your formations. So that's why you see a lot of apart from my defensive formation, the attacking formations are two strikers or two striker variations. But what you do is you put your cam on stay forward on your center forward, ends up becoming like a 4-4-1-1. So you've got stay forward on the cam, or I would like to put the center forward. I did get rid of getting behind just because I do think people are sitting a bit more deeper, and I would like the ball to go to my player's feet so I could do a fake shot or left stick dribbling. Left stick dribbling is really good now because people are using manual jockeying and they don't really know how to defend properly, especially if they're using the old style of jockeying. So that is very, very useful. The lamina ram, we put them both unbalanced. just to be a bit more aggressive. It doesn't really, they still come back on offense. You know, if you've got someone like Alessandrini with high low work rates, you can put them come back in offense. But the benefit of this is by leaving them unbalanced is that when you are defending, they won't come back all the way and they kind of hover, which allow you be able to press a little bit more. So if you are going to use pressure on every touch or press off possession loss, then you can leave these very much unbalanced. I prefer to use the balanced tactic myself because I apply pressure. Again, I'm trying to give you incremental changes that you can adapt to your playstyle. So depending on your skill level and depending on your ability, so you can use this formation and be like, hey, you know what? No, this is a bit too aggressive for me. What you said, then you can come back to this video and then you can just change this to balance and put these on comeback and offense, and that way it will solve your issue. We got the gamma on conservative interception just because Neymar does run out of stamina quite a bit and get into the box for cross. Both CDMs on cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking and cover center. As I mentioned, you can always put, I normally put my left center mid, depends on what formation I'm playing. But you can always put your center mid on get forward to make it a bit more attacking. That way you have one guy on stay back and you have a center mid join attack. Don't forget, normally speaking, you have your opponent's back four. So you can argue there's a player for every one of your back four, and you get the additional player going forward. So that's kind of the benefit of having a CDM unbalanced. Or someone like Cloud Moose got medium work rates, you can leave them on get forward. That way you force them to make a run going forward. What we've done is we've left forward runs and long ball. The idea is when we get the ball going forward, there's no getting behind instruction for these players. So long ball just basically makes them make runs going forward. And in the final third, your entire team makes runs going forward. With the 4-2-3-1, I know people use direct passing. I see it a lot more on the higher end because they keep the ball in this area and then those players make those runs with direct pass. I'm sure you may have seen it. But I do think forward runs is the better option for most players, and I do use it myself. We do know driven passes have been nerfed, so that may change. And that is the 4-2-3-1. And on that note, I might also say this video is sponsored by FIFA School Series, patreon.com/NealGuides. As I said, we do have the new jockey method. So if you want to learn how the new jockey method, and we compare all the jockey methods, the analog sprint, the legacy method, and the run and jockey method, and we compare them all together. Of course, we've got all the tools, and we're finishing off the Division 10 to Elite Division Series. I wanted to wait for the patch to come out so I can do the final section with a 150k team from the Division 1, Division 2, all the way to the Elite Division. That way I can show it to you after the patch. That's why there's been a halt on that. And of course, loads of other videos to get better in a progressive learning system. Patreon.com/NealGuides. If you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is, of course, a NealGuides guarantee. We've got attack patterns and all those other videos there on my Patreon series. Link is down below in the description. But that is the 4-2-3-1. That is the formation I'll be using for most of the game. Then we go to the 4-3-1-2. This will make the this is what's replaced the 3-5-2. As I said, this is the meta tactic setup that will appeal more to the masses, should I say rather. I'll have my fun but yet still meta system with my 5-2-1-2s, 5-3-2s coming out midway through the week. Yes, for the 4-3-1-2, you can use pressure on heavy touch again if you like to use it and you want to be a bit more aggressive, but you can go with pressure on heavy touch for a more conservative approach. Now, to be honest, what you can do is on a 4-3-1-2, you can increase with. I go from anywhere between 60 to 40. I like to be higher up the pitch. That way, when I am defending, I can kind of ping the ball straight to my striker and my cam. Don't forget, driven passing has been nerfed a little bit, so you will be able to get away with the no-look pings or the random pings going forward. So you do have to be a bit more structured. For the defensive width, we kept this quite narrow. Well, it's quite on default. Don't forget, conscious to believe the 4-3-1-2 is quite a narrow formation when you're defending. You kind of defend in a central block, which I actually like because not many players go down the wing. We do have our left centre mid and right centre mid on stay back, or sorry, not stay back, cover centre, should I say. They do cover the central areas. I don't have them in cover wing. I know Michael Fisher, the pro player, actually plays the 4-1-2-1-2 or the 4-3-1, well, 4-1-2-1-2 in particular in a 4-4-2 system. I'll upload a video on that very soon. It's very similar to Dolomite system that you played like a couple of years ago as well. But that is that. Build up play and chance creation. Now, what you can do is you can use fast build up play. I know a lot of players are preferring fast build up play for the 4-3-1-2. Again, it will depend on your playstyle. I'll say two options. You can use the balanced approach and the forward runs. I would say leave it on forward runs, or you can leave the long ball, which is a bit more of A fast approach, the left center mid, right center mid, they go forward, and fast build plays when they go forward quickly. So again, it depends on your skill level. If you find yourself struggling to build up from the back end, you used to spam driven passes and now it doesn't work anymore, I would recommend balanced or long ball. But you can use fast put up play. The widths on widths, you can, again, the width doesn't really matter too much because it really just affects the outer players, but you can just leave it on default. It doesn't really matter too much. 50 to 70 doesn't make that much of a difference compared to what people think. You know, the two central strikers are still going to be in the middle. They're not going to, for example, become wingers, contrary to what many people think as well. It's more just a space in between them. And then for the strikers, kind of going back to my old tactics as well with the 4-3-1-2, we kept both the strikers on stay forward, stay central, and we kept the cam on stay forward. The idea is we want 3 players forward at all times when we do win the ball back to kind of have a 2 centre backs versus 3 attackers kind of system. Almost like a counter-attack-esque system. You can, of course, get into the box for cross. A lot of players do like to use the 1-2s, for example, here, and then force the ball with the right centre mid or left centre mid and cross the ball in. You could also do that. And you could also have this option if you do have the fullbacks on join the attack as well. I'll go over that in a second. For the centre mid, or I like to call it the CDM, what I would recommend is stay back, stay on the edge of the box, and cover centre. You always want one guy at least backwards, ready for the counter attack. I know, for example, on the earlier playoff games, earlier champs games, you can get away with this. But later on, when you verse the better opponents, they will really kill you, especially on the counter attack. So you at least want one guy and stay back while attacking, cover centre on the edge of the box. And cover center. Left center mid and right center mid, you can leave them either both unbalanced or you can leave one of them on get forward. I normally leave the most attacking player, for example Alessandrini, on get forward and get into the box for a cross. The other one, Claude Maurice, hasn't got the best work, so leave him on balance, but you can leave him on stay back while attacking if you want to. And the left back and right back, you can put them on conservative, overlap, or you can just leave them on balanced. I don't actually play my fullbacks on balance. I just prefer them to be on stay back while attacking. And what I normally do is I trigger them forward. So if I am really struggling with my right centre mid and I need that wing player going forward, I will trigger both my left back and my right back going forward manually myself. So if I do need the option there, I'll just trigger them going forward. I always put conservative interceptions on my left back and right back just so they don't really get caught out, because sometimes they do. If you want to, you can always use drop between defenders over here. Use drop between defenders over there, and you can always push these guys forward with the D-pad attacking tactics, attacking fullbacks, because don't forget, when you activate attacking fullbacks, it overrides this. So that is a different variations that you can choose. Again, just whichever one you prefer, whichever one you like, you can of course adapt it. So you can try it balanced as it is, and then you can try the one where this one's on drop between defenders and these guys are either both on join the attack, or you can put them on stay back while attacking, and you can have the attacking fullbacks option which overrides stay back while attacking. But again, I just prefer stay back while attacking, a bit more stability, and that's what I just prefer. I think most people prefer that as well. So then we go over to the attacking, ultra attacking tactic. Now, I'll be honest, I did take some influence here from a huge gorilla, Spence. I'm pretty sure everyone who knows who he is, former world champion. I was watching his stream and I saw, I don't know what he was playing in, but he was playing the 4-4-2-4. And obviously, if you think about it, the 4-2-4 is basically a more attacking base 4-4-2. You know, people always think all it is basically, the best way I can explain it to you is basically the 4-4-2. The only difference is these guys are wingers, so you can argue they're a bit more attacking. But if you put these guys on comeback and offense, it actually defends like a 4-4-2 anyway. But this would be the formation if you're losing and you want to come back into the game. You can use balanced, long ball and balanced, or you can use direct passing. I personally just use long ball and forward runs. I think forward runs for all my formations make it much more attacking, and I really just prefer that. I don't really like direct passing, but of course you can change it, or you can even put it to balanced if you want to. The idea behind this is you want to be as wide as possible, and we want to be high up the pitch as possible. We know there's some changes to depth as well, but we left it on 70s. We want to be high up the pitch as possible. We may change this next week. And the idea is you want to win the ball back as high up the pitch and as wide as possible. Don't forget, when you want to press, you want to be high up the pitch as possible, and you want to be wide as possible. And we kind of got that when we get the ball back, everyone's going to be going forward. So we have the two strikers on stay forward, stay central. Again, we have no getting behind. Sometimes when we're recycling, we don't really want the getting behind option, especially people who are playing very much deeper. I'd rather have the ball at the player's feet, so I prefer to have better dribblers in this situation. Hence Alessandrini and Neymar. Left wing and right wing is basically a comeback and defense. Now, what I was going to say is Gorilla does lead them on stay forward. But the problem is, of course, Gorilla, the world champion, knows how to defend properly. Even with one center mid, he can actually do a very good job. Where most players, and even myself, I find that sometimes if I don't have two center mids, I could be in trouble. So what I do is I just put both the left wing and right wing on comeback and defense, and that way when you're defending, you defend in a 4-4-2, because when you're behind, because basically when your opponent is holding the ball, and let's say using team press with this formation, you want to beat all your players behind the ball. The problem is if your opponent is in between your, so let's say you got all these players on stay forward, if your opponent has the ball and you pass the ball in between your front four and your two center mids, if you push one of these guys out of position, you are in big trouble. Obviously, the top tier players and players like Gorilla, of course, they know when to bring back their left back, left mid, right middle, when to bring back their strikers manually with teammate contain. So that is how they get away with it. So in case you watch them and you wonder how do they get away with it, it's because obviously because of their skill level. You might see me sometimes that I bring back my striker and I use teammate contain with my CDM to apply pressure. So that's why I say come back on offense on both of the left wing and right wing, so the left mids and right mids. One is center mid on stay back while attacking and cover center, and the other one on get forward. Just a typical system, because you still want one guy back. Because I always say is if you are losing, let's say 2-0, you don't really want to go gung-ho. Yes, it might be 70 minutes. You want to be applying a pressure, but you don't want it to be 2-0. Does that make sense? You at least still want to be staying in the game. Left back and right back, stay back, conservative and overlap. If you want to trigger them forward, you can always do that manually. So this is my setup. So I explained to you my team. This is my team that I'm using now in the game. I bought Alessandrini recently, and I'm going to be trying something out just this weekend league because I wanted to buy this setup, but I didn't have money. I did get R9, but that was on my old account. I'm debating where to use it at the moment. I might use that for player reviews. Let me know down below in the description. So what happens is normally when the game starts is the balance formation, I don't actually use it. So just in case you don't understand how chemistry works, I don't actually use the 4-5-1 formation. It's just for chemistry purposes because there's no other way I can get Tecatito in this team on 10 chemistry. The only way I can do it is with a 4-5-1 formation. So I don't actually use this in game. What I do basically then, I normally I'm a French manager, but just ignore that for now. Then what I do is if you go to custom tactics, the actual 4-5-1, I don't use this. So what I do is I put all my players on comeback and defense. So whatever formation you put here, let's say you're playing with a 4-3-3 for chemistry purposes, just put every single player on comeback and defense and put your CDM, or in my case a center mid, on drop between defenders. This is what I like to call the anti-kickoff formation. So let's say my opponent kicks off first. Even if I want to change another formation, let's say I change it to 4-2-3-1 in game, it does take some time. So I use this formation, think of it like an anti-kickoff formation. Then when the game changes, I normally go straight to the 4-2-3-1. Now again, it depends on your skill level. I can stay on a 4-2-3-1 for most of the game because I know how to press with the 4-2-3-1 and know how to defend with it. But depending on your skill level, you might, for example, find yourself, because people, they watch me and they see me on a 4-2-3-1, they're tagging, but like, hey Neil, you do it, and then they try to copy it, it doesn't really work. It depends on your skill level. So I say normally start on the 4-2-3-1. See how the game goes. If you're, for example, 1-0 down or let's say, for example, you're drawing and you're struggling, you can, of course, go to the 4-3-1-2. That's the way that I say. If you end up equalizing, let's say it's 1-1 and you end up equalizing, you can go back to the 4-2-3-1. If, for example, you're in a final moments of the game, let's say you're 1 or 2 goals ahead and you want to close out the game, then you can go to the 4-3-3. So do you see there's a kind of an element for every phase in the game? And then let's say, for example, if let's say you're losing 2-0 and you decide you want to be a bit more wider, you're losing the wingers, the 4-2-1 is a bit too defensive for you, you can of course go to this formation where it does have press after possession loss on. Now what you can do is you can activate team press. So press a D-pad tactics and you can activate team press, or you can press the pause button and just use constant pressure. I normally use pressure on heavy touch. I change this formation when I need to. Sometimes I even, if I want to, let's say for example, I found my opponent to be a bit on the weekend or suffering under pressure, sometimes I might change to the 4-2-4 or the 4-4-2. And I kind of go with that set, but that's kind of how I set up, and I use this. So this is, for example, if I'm losing by 1 or 2 goals, this is just a more attacking variation compared to the 4-2-1 if I want to go through a narrow passage. This is if I want kind of a 4-4-2 but with a cam and a striker, a more balanced formation that for all phases of the game. And then we find the one to close out the game, and that is the meta tactics. As I said, we're going to have a different tactic set up during a week for the 5-2-1-2s. This is just purely for those that really want to go towards the rank 1 or the elite divisions. We did have Vieira over here like that, and eventually what will happen is in Cloud Maurice, once I do play 10 games with them, and Alessandrini that I just bought just recently for the weekend league, once I play 10 games with them, they will get 10 chemistry, and that is how the team lines up. Anyway guys, that is the meta tactics for those that are going towards the rank 1s and the elite divisions. As I said, if you're looking for the fun but meta tactics that I mainly use, just because I just want to have fun, of course, like, you know, this is more of the sweat try hard tactics, but I will have the 5-2-1, 2-2-5-2 tactics coming midway during the week. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. That is the formation layout, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.